All right, welcome back to Living Your True Self. I know we've been running behind on a few episodes, but we are back in the chairs, as you can see, or on this beautiful sofa here at the Moxie Hotel, sharing the amazing story of Michael Pino. So if you haven't met Michael yet, Michael has slept with thousands and thousands of men.
Okay.
And has quite a story to tell. Not just about that, though some stories do have that in it, but today's story is going to be a little bit different from my understanding. And I'm excited to get into it. Before you tell us the story, tell us just briefly a summary of what the story is going to be about. What are people to expect in today's episode?
So it's about trusting in God's plan.
Okay. So
That's
okay.
what it's about.
And when did this story roughly take place?
Probably in the year 2015, so 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Okay, so this was, somewhat recent. That's not that long ago. So this is after your times of being a big slut. But you also have other things that you've been through. You were also a nurse, right? That's amazing. You survived cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you also have a couple other things we'll touch on here that I'm going to get to. But we want to start with the story, okay?
I'm a little nervous.
No, don't be nervous. I have no hidden agenda, just questions.
Okay.
But go ahead. So let's get started with the story. If you want to take it away, Michael, I'm all ears.
Yeah. So normally I read from my memoir, and this is in my memoir. However, I know the story so well, I wanted to just speak it out. And so it goes back to when I was getting radiated for the prostate cancer. And I was slowly becoming more incapacitated, even though they said I would not be. So it was nothing in my mind, because in my mind I was going to be fine. They're like, you can work. Mm-hmm. There'll be no issues here.
I have an ignorant question. Is prostate cancer different than colon cancer or same thing?
No, two different
They're
organ
two
systems.
different organs.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So you can Google prostate. And so what happened was I had a good friend who was like, oh, let's go to a movie in Sarasota. I'm like, oh man, I'm really pretty weak, but I'm going to try. And I had a Foley catheter, by the way. So it's a bag that you urinate in, because at that point I could not pee on my own. And it was just recovering from this radiation, which was pretty severe. Again, they said I could work and nothing would happen, and a lot happened. So we go to this movie, and we're in Sarasota. It's a $2 movie in Sarasota. It's awesome. It was called Hawaii. It was a very spiritual movie. It very moved me a lot. And as you may know, or you will know as we talk more, I'm very connected to Hawaii. So I'm very, very, very connected to the elements, the natural elements of Hawaii, spiritual elements of Hawaii. I've hung out on 4 different spiritual retreats with shamans in Hawaii and famous spiritual authors over there at these retreat centers. Mm-hmm. So we see this movie, and we go to Armand Circle in Sarasota, where they have these little shops. And for some reason, I see this big, it's not a painting, but it's like a wood carving. And it says, "Let It Be." And it's a very large, about the size of this painting here. And it's from a barn in Wisconsin. And, and they're like, it's $250. And I'm with my friend who's quite frugal, and he's like, oh, we can go to the dollar store and get something that says the same thing. There's no need to buy this. I'm like, no, I have to have that one. It says, "Let It Be."
Like the Beatles song.
Just like the Beatles song. And that will play into the story later.
Okay.
So I'm like, I have to have it. I have to have that now. I could barely walk. Anyway, so I get it. Take it home. I was actually going to give it to my parents.
Oh.
I don't remember what holiday it was. But I ended up just keeping it and putting it in my house. And anyway, the radiation got so bad that I just wanted to die. I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I'm a very ebullient person. I really love life. And for me to say I want to die, like take my body, now I'm done.
Right.
That's what I got to with this radiation. Again, mind you, they said nothing. I would not feel these things. It was a shock to me that this was happening. And I remember going into the radiation room, and I was just in so much pain and anxiety. So I'm laying on this table. You're in a gigantic room, and they strap you on a table, and then they raise you up so you're like hovering in the room alone. They have a music on, and this gigantic machine kind of rolls around you,
Uh-huh.
and it starts radiating the prostate from different angles. And I remember saying, "That's it. I'm done now. Take my body." And what happened was, I'll try not to get emotional. So the radio comes the Beatles song, Mother Mary. Let me just preface. I scream, "Mother Mary, take me now." And all of a sudden, the song from the Beatles comes on, and it says, "Mother Mary, let it be, let it be." And I was like, oh my God, you're here. I don't have to go anywhere. You have my back. You're in the room. I went from a level 10,000 anxiety to zero. Like I no longer wanted to die. And I was still in the same pain, but I didn't feel it the same. I was like, oh, I'm good. I was actually laughing. And like the radiation was over. I remember I'm like, okay, it's still painful. And I was like, okay. And I'm walking to the bathroom and go, she's got my back. I'm good. I'm completely good. I can get through this. And so that story was so poignant. I have many, many, many stories of similar spiritual events, but this one was very, very poignant. And it just let me know when I have doubts about life and what's going on, that, remember that moment. Remember that moment. And do you not think your higher self, Mother Mary, Jesus, God, whoever you say is your higher power, do you not think that they're already before you? They entered the room before you entered the room. So, again, I have a lot going on, as you well know, Austin, and we talk about things privately. And so I just go back to these moments, and they ease my mind. I still am human. I still come back to the anxieties, but if I reflect on the enormity of those poignant moments, I can truly let go. I can truly witness something that's bothering me and go, this is all God's plan. This is God's plan. Would I intervene in God's plan? No. I don't have the knowledge to do that.
What was the timeline between when you saw the sign and bought it and then had that radiation appointment?
It was like very quickly after that.
It was like right after that.
Yes. And again...
You screamed out Mother Mary and then the song comes on?
Yes.
See, that does seem crazy. But when you chalk it up, it's just coincidence.
Yeah, that's what you can say that. And unless you're going through that, you know it's not.
Yeah.
You know it's a synchronicity. Now, mind you, I have always had a deep devotion to Mother Mary. So I've always been a spiritual person. So even as a child, I was very into going to church. That could be past life stuff, or maybe I was a priest or a monk in the past life. I don't know. But I've always been very into the ritual of the church and the true spiritual nature of the church, not the dogma of church. And so I was an altar boy, and I was very much into going and listening and hearing what was being said. Again, this dovetails into something else where later the challenge was, as a gay man coming out, and this church that I loved was not so into me being gay. And I was like, okay, we gotta go. That led to, and this may be in a podcast we've already talked about, where that was another time when I was like, all right, if I can't be gay, and I can't be straight, and I'm reading this Bible, and I'm like, well, all right, fuck you. I took the Bible, threw it across the room, went to work to take my life.
Right.
And didn't, because another miracle happened, which you could call a coincidence, but it wasn't. And I may have talked about this, but we'll bring it up again. I go to work, and I'm in a state mental hospital where I work. And all the patients who are criminally insane, depressive, manics, schizophrenics, who've all committed crimes, they're coming up to me going, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And meanwhile, I'm just like, I can't figure out how to kill myself. And then in walks a 6'2" muscle-bound boxer man who I never saw before. And I'm like, fuck killing myself. I'm going out with him. Angel. And I always called him my angel. And he knows why I used to say that to me. Who am I? Mm-hmm. Because, again, that's not a synchronicity. I wanted to die, and then boof.
Yeah. The angel, you have no communication with that person anymore?
I'm sure I'll meet him again. I'm sure I'll talk to him again. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard from him in several years.
Yeah. Yeah. Why were you so determined to take your own life? Was it just because you felt the church had rejected you, or?
It could have been just the rejection. It was a deeper thing because I truly believed in everything they were saying at the time. I was a young, impressionable man. I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And I was 18 years old. And I just thought, well, what do you mean I can't be gay?
Right.
Because we grew up in a Catholic, Italian, conservative family, so to speak. And it meant a lot to be accepted into this church. And so when they said, no, you can't be yourself. Mm-hmm. You're not allowed to be that.
Right.
And I knew I had to be myself. Mm-hmm. So
killing yourself was the only way out, you felt?
Yeah, I thought, well, like they're saying I can't be who I am. Mm-hmm. This is me. What do you mean I can't be me? Mm-hmm. That's absurd.
Yeah. And then but you had people in your family who were also gay, right? Wasn't maybe your uncle gay or something like that?
I have two uncles on both sides of the family.
Yeah. And did you ever talk to them about it, or how they dealt with it as they got older?
No, because again, back then it wasn't talked about. Everything was quiet. It was known but not talked about.
Got it. So
now, I'm a younger person. They're older.
Yeah.
So they're not talking to me about being gay. And in the 70s, that's not talked about.
Right.
And so their siblings, they all knew, but they didn't talk to me about it. So again, it was that covert shh.
Right.
Shh. Don't say nothing.
And you don't go to church now, right?
Well, I'm extremely spiritual. I did go to the Unity Church for quite some time, and then that church has moved around. They sold the property and they moved somewhere else, and I do watch it online, the service.
Because I guess what I was wondering is the church now way more accepting than it was back then?
It's more accepting, but I don't know that it is way more accepting.
Yeah.
You know, there are factions of the church that are quite conservative and other churches that are not so. In the Catholic religion, I would say that overall the official Catholic doctrine is no, you can't be practicing gay. But it might be changing. It could change.
Yeah. And so now, you still, like you said, you're still very spiritual. Is there any of you that maybe holds resentment towards religion because of all that? You felt, because it almost drives you to kill yourself, it sounds like. And that.
Yeah, it's strange that you bring that up because the little things will drive my resentments deep, and that seems like a big one.
It does seem like a big one.
Whatever.
Yeah.
like now at this point, because that's so many years ago. At this point, I feel I could sit here and you could take a scan of my body. I have no resentment to the church. Like it doesn't go. It could go off about something that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But it won't go off about that.
Yeah.
No, I think I put that to rest. And I think I've shared the story where one of my coworkers, she's like, are you gay? And I'm like, well, I'm not practicing. I was 18, remember, 18 years old, all confused.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, listen, I know of a gay priest at the Diocese of Rockville Center, the center of the Catholic Church on Long Island, and he can talk to you. And so just talking to him was like being sanctioned by the church.
Oh,
it's okay. And then the Catholic Church had a group called Dignity, which was a gay arm of the church, if you will. Not really official, but they allowed Dignity meetings, which is gay Catholics.
Right. Oh,
and then eventually they squashed it. They didn't want it anymore.
Oh.
It's getting too big.
They were
Lots of gays in the Catholic Church.
They were overrunning.
We were overrunning. And so they put a stop to that.
Yeah.
But so that did exist for some time.
Would you consider going back now?
No, there's no need. At this point, I don't believe in really churches. I study the Course in Miracles.
Yeah.
That's my church. I mean, I
Yeah.
go to classes on that, and that's channeled teachings from Jesus, and it's very powerful, and it's very deep. So again, I'm not skilled enough to articulate about the Course in Miracles. I would refer everyone to Google it, and there are authors who are amazing. Paul Cardillo is the teacher that I go see every Wednesday here and in St. Petersburg. And then there's also Alan Cohen, who's written a book called The Course in Miracles Made Easy. And that really is quite helpful for people to understand. Marianne Williamson also has books about the Course in Miracles. I used to study with Marianne, I mean briefly, back in the 90s when I first learned about A Course in Miracles in 91.
No.
I wasn't open to it. Friends of mine were into it. And I picked it up and I was like, oh, I was partying back then. It's like, I need a drink. I'm done with this. Let's find a bar. But I was exposed to it. So the seed was planted.
Yeah.
But Marianne would fly from California to New York City during that peak of the AIDS epidemic. And she was helping a lot of people with AIDS with the Course as well. And eventually I became a nurse in Manhattan helping people with AIDS. But I didn't use the Course at that time.
Oh, gotcha. I was found it strange, or maybe not strange, but just interesting that you were saying over and over again, Mother Mary, like Mother Mary, help me, Mother Mary, Mother Mary.
Yeah, so that goes back to my love of the church and my connection to Mother Mary. I always felt a connection to her.
Why?
It's kind of innate. I mean, some people are born with that knowledge. They're born with this connection. And I was born with that. I kind of marvel sometimes. I go, why were you always kind of happy-go-lucky? Why were you even with the suicide attempts? You know, I was a happy-go-lucky person overall, mostly an optimist, very spiritual from a baby, from young. I mean, I always felt this way. And so throughout my life, you know, we would go to a shrine. It's called Our Lady of the Island. And she's a huge statue of Mary holding the baby Jesus. And it's like the Stations of the Cross going up a mountain. At the top is this big statue, and there's a church at the top. And I would take treks out there by myself and just meditate and talk to Mary. And so I've always had that. And you can, if you do connect on a deep level in meditation, you can connect to your higher self. For me, it's represented with Mary.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's always been my whole life. This is nothing new.
Is that New York where that is? Where is that?
The shrine is on Long Island. She's called Our Lady of the Island in Manorville, Long Island. Top of a mountain overlooking all of like the Fire Island, the Hamptons, and the Atlantic Ocean. It's an amazing view.
Oh, wow.
But very, very, peaceful. Again, a gay man going up there as a Catholic sanctioned, shrine doesn't affect me with their dogma. I'm still able to go there and connect on another level.
Right. Going back to when you were talking about, you were nursing and wanted to kill yourself, and your angel walked in.
I wasn't a nurse. I was 18 years old.
Oh, okay.
I was a mental hygiene therapy aide.
Oh,
they called us mahatas.
Mahatas.
I was a mahata. And and so that was one of my first jobs after high school.
Did anybody around you have any idea you were like internally suffering, or were you just, like you said, happy-go-lucky on the outside? Nobody would have guessed you were having these issues.
Was the nicest. People tell me, I go, was I really that nice? And recently, a friend, I think I talked about it on a previous podcast, a friend of mine who I knew since when I was 14, 15, 16, and another friend of mine, her sister died, and so we were texting on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and she says, you're such a gem, Michael. You were always that way. So she's recalling back when I was 14, 15, 16. And so I go, oh, it was like confirmation for me. It's just not making it up in my head. Like how I feel now is how I always was.
Yeah.
And so, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so, no, there was no signs that you were having these deep, dark thoughts in your head at the time. Right.
No, nobody would know.
Yeah. Have you had any of those episodes in your adult life since?
What kind of episode?
Like dark thoughts, like you wanted to take your life or anything like that?
I don't believe so.
I couldn't imagine you being that way, just knowing you for how long I've known you. I couldn't see that happening.
Right. I do think it can overtake.
Except maybe the other day.
Okay. I don't think you're gonna let them wonder what's going on. Really?
Well, we might get there.
Many podcasts from now. So, what I want to say about that is, there are people who are suffering with anxieties and mental illness and depression, and they could look normal, but you can have something happen. It just takes you into a tailspin and puts you in this hole. You don't know how you got there. Mm-hmm. And those people take their lives. I know people in St. Petersburg where that has happened. And so I don't want to poo-poo that. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that's going on with me right now. I do believe I'm working on my spiritual centered self enough that I'm aware if I'm getting close to something like that. And I just haven't had that. Mm-hmm. I haven't felt that in, I don't know, decades.
Yeah.
I just haven't.
Yeah.
But I think it's because of the work I do on myself. Mm-hmm. I do connect with my higher self on a daily basis, every single morning and evening. Mm-hmm. So it's something that doesn't leave me. Mm-hmm. And that to me is a guiding force. I'm not left to the whims of the world that could easily make you want to kill yourself.
Yeah.
And there are people and places that can trigger people. And so how do I stay centered? It's through my reading authors that I trust and love, and I'm studying the Course in Miracles every single day. That's what keeps me centered.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously, like you just said, there's a lot of people that have those dark thoughts or are going through those times now. And when you talk about when you were going through those times, it's like for you, it is almost like as you were thinking about doing it or letting go of your life, like something happened at that moment that made that change for you. But most people, I don't think, would have that. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like you got lucky in a sense like that.
Deep thoughts.
Sorry, so you were saying, so these people that, again, don't have the fortunate spiritual
I don't want to equate it to somebody
moment.
who's on a grade of spirituality.
Yeah.
Everyone is where they're at. Mm-hmm. There's no better or worse. Mm-hmm. Because I lived and they didn't doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It doesn't mean a thing to me.
Yeah.
To me, as you study the Course, there's no death anyway. You just drop your body. Your spirit is still
Where the hell do you go?
Your spirit is still alive.
Is it still walking this planet?
Still present. You become one with your higher self. So, again, I'm going to ask you to go to the author, Alan Cohen.
Yeah.
Course in Miracles Made Easy. I'm not steeped enough in it to be very articulate about it.
I see.
It's a very daunting subject.
Sounds like.
And it will rattle your world. It will rattle you.
How do I? So just Google the author and then I can
Alan
find
Cohen, Course in Miracles. But I will say that, this is just my path. And so if you can just be who you are, be the light that you are, you will hear your feedback from many, many people about what you're doing. And so you're on your path. So somebody else, they didn't do that. They decided, I'm done here. I'm out. I mean, I almost opted for that. And then things changed.
Right.
So that's not my path. But it doesn't mean I'm better or I'm more evolved than they are. That's not what it means.
Right.
It's just that's who they are and this is who I am.
Right. Where's your path leading you now?
Well, it's with you right now. We're doing some pretty fine stuff. I like telling my story.
Yeah.
I do get feedback that it helps a lot of people.
That's great.
And so, yeah, when the book is finally edited fully and published, I'll be out there more. And so that to me, I think, is what's going on right now. I also sell real estate. I do a lot of that. I help a lot of people. I just went to lunch at this fabulous restaurant called Juno and the Peacock in St.
Oh, yeah.
Petersburg. Fabulous. And some friends took me out, and then another friend of mine who I invited, who I've known for my whole career, has been a good friend and client. And we talk about how we've been sharing our lives of all these years. And she's bought many, many homes from me and referred many people to me. But we also share our lives. It's not just transactional. It's not just about
Yeah.
the deals.
Yeah.
You know, it's a relationship. And so I still do that. I still do the relationships in real estate.
Yeah, that's important. I think real estate is pretty much all about relationship building, right? I mean, for the most part.
For the whole part.
Yeah.
For the whole part. There's
Yeah.
people who don't do that, but
Yeah.
I think it makes it more meaningful.
Yeah. And you help people just like when you were a nurse, right?
Exactly. I always tell people I feel like I never left nursing. When I transitioned in 2007, I left my nursing job for the last time and started in February of 2008 in real estate. That I said, oh my God, I never left the job.
Right.
I totally palpably feel I'm still Michael Pino when I was 16. I'm still this empathic, compassionate, caring person.
Right.
And it's no matter what I do. And I always tell people, your job is not who you are. Your job is to connect with people. So you could be any profession, just name it. Waitress, painter, artist, museum director, paperboy, whatever it is. As long as you're present,
Yep.
you know, that's your job. Your job is to connect. And I love my line. I say it all the time. We're all just walking each other home. Be kind and be loving. That's when you say, what direction am I going in? It's deepening that. It's deepening letting go of superficial stuff. Superficial stuff will come into your life.
Right.
You'll have the means to do what you have to do. But the primary reason I'm here, my primary direction, is to go deeper. Just to go deeper. And I say that to a lot of people. What are you doing? I'm going deeper. I'm just going deeper.
That's what I say to my girlfriend all the time.
Yeah, you are fresh. You're a fresh mouth, and your girlfriend is not here to stop you.
Oh man. Well, that's No, I totally get what you're saying, and I love that. So we're gonna look forward to the book coming out. We're gonna look forward to more consistency on getting the podcast going. Right?
Yes, sir.
What else? Anything else in the future we should be looking forward to?
Oh, lots of cool listings coming up, but, I'll let you know. You could just follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and then you'll see the real estate stuff.
Yeah. And Substack is where to find these memoirs, right?
Yes, and I believe because you're such a big help to me technologically, you put the links on my Instagram.
Yes.
So when you go to my Instagram, you can actually see the links for the Substack.
Yes. And then you can read the stories we're talking about here, or you can read more stories, which we'll go over here.
And we do a lot of real estate. So there's real estate clips that Austin does, and you'll see that on our EV St. Pete website.
Yeah.
Again, you'll see I repost them on my Instagram, amongst other nice things there.
Yeah, lots of big stuff going on here in St. Pete, Tampa Bay in general. So it's exciting. It's an exciting place to be.
We're going deeper.
Going deeper.
In many ways.
All right. Anything else you want to add on before we
I
sign
could
off?
talk all night with you about so many things, but I think it was complete.
Yeah, well, for this story, we've got it down. Maybe we can sit down and talk about some more stuff. But
yeah, for sure.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, Michael Pino 2 on Substack, or follow him on Instagram or Facebook, and you'll find the links there. Yes. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.